Hi there. Today I bring you 3 games that I've played on Lichess. Okay, they're all Blitz games. I think they're 3-minute and 5-minute. Or maybe they're 2 and 1. One's 2 and 1 at least. Anyway, so and this is my desktop shows Christchurch Cathedral and the Chalice in the Cathedral Square prior to our earthquakes of February 22, 2011. Okay, so anyway, this is this game I bring you first, which is I am white. So we have e4, so my opponent is from Germany. My opponent's quite reasonably placed for a rating. However, I have a 3-0 score with this player. So I've played before this player. So I am now, the board is sort of cut up now. Black has cut the board with these double pawns here, has sort of sliced the board in 2 pieces. So anyway, I now meet Queen b6, and I just do not mind to lose this pawn, but I usually would mind it. But I played g4 and Queen b2 and Knight g3. So Black sort of wasting a bit of time going after these pawns, but there is no sort of position here that I can say this is a winning position for white, because that's not the case. So, but white has lost a pawn, but it takes time for black to re-maneuver their queen, which isn't exactly the best thing, especially for 2 and 1. So Queen b6, and I play h4, f6. And here is it's your move. What would you play? I don't know if it's any good or not, but it certainly came about for me, bringing about a reasonable result. So here I played, if you're not looking at this actual score, here I played the following move on 19 f5. So this doesn't have any rhyme or reason to it or anything like that, but it's just throwing things at black's king side, where, as I previously mentioned, black is kind of like sort of cut the board in 2 by these diagonals, for example, aren't here anymore. They might be later on. f5 and g6, and my opponent's got reasonable time, 130 compared to mine, 137. Rook f8 and h6, but of course in bishop e5. Now I played g7. Now I was expecting rook f7, or maybe even bishop takes g3. But my opponent here plays rook e8. So this gives me this move, queen h5, and bishop d7, defending the rook and developing at the same time. So black is developed. Then I played, what would you play here now? Now I'm not saying that this move is great, but I played the following move because otherwise I have to look after this knight on g3, which has been attacked. So I played knight f5, ef5, and bishop d5 check. So upon bishop e6, I'm probably in a lost position here. Bishop e6, rook e6, and then I have rook f5, just wanting to double up rooks on the f file for rook f8 check, etc., gaining a queen. But also I threaten, of course, queen f7 check. So here comes rook g6 check, and really this is probably not very good for white, but I couldn't see much else to do. So I went king h1, and here I am threatening, if you like, maybe rook e5. If the knight moves back, we might want to try to get this knight back to here so we can queen check on c6 diagonal to h1. But the thing is that if this knight here moves, then this rook just takes this bishop. And if queen c6 check, then just rook back to e4, and I think that's not too bad. But I'm not completely sure. It is a 2-minute and 1 second increment game. Excuse me. So it's queen c7. So what else but rook a f1, which threatens, of course, rook f8. Here's bishop d6. So it's your move now. This is one wee exercise for you to try to find a good follow-up for white here. So here I went, played rook f8 check. Now there are better moves for black than what black played. I think here bishop f8's better. Not completely sure actually. It's not actually bad, is it? I don't think it makes any difference. Rook f8, and then the move I was going to play was queen to d5, but that would be no good, would it? Because then black has just simply rook f7. So if now queen d5 check, then simply rook f7, and black stands okay. So here came gf8 queen check, and so this is really hard for black to meet now because black's in a lost position. So after bishop f8 came now queen d5 check, excuse me, king h8 and rook f8. So that's that game. Then I will bring the second game for you. Thanks Stockfish, and thank you Lichess. This is a game that I will flip the board for. This is a 2-in-1 rated bullet game on Lichess. They do call it bullet, but anyway, I might not really. So here is this bullet game of chess. Now, as you can see, if you've looked already, it's a draw. But this game I've placed on Facebook because, quite frankly, it's quite exciting in my way of looking at it. But it might not be really good or exciting, but I think it's worth a look. So here's e4. We'll just go through these moves quite quickly of the Tarrasch French opening. With, of course, f5. So here's knight e4 rather than playing g6 or something similar to defend the f5 pawn. So here comes knight e1, and I have actually, I think I found an idea here for me here, better than what I played. I think that after f3, what would be your move? There is the main move that I played, but I actually think there's a better move here than what I played. I'm not completely sure though. I am not completely sure. Anyway, I think that maybe queen to h4 is okay, as it just threatens queen h2 checkmate. And the knight can stay on e4, it doesn't really matter. And I think I can actually, so I'm just going to go queen here, okay, and I can just do analysis now. I think that either this move or either h3, in which case I can play queen here, I think. Would be one way to go. But also, after queen h4, g3, which I don't think is as good either, I have a few ideas here actually. There's a few things that can happen here. One, I could play knight g3, hg3, what else? Queen g3, knight g2, and then if I go queen to h2, it's not actually checkmate, is it, of course? But I could play this move with the idea of bishop g3 checkmate. But I'm not completely sure about this line. But that's some ideas. Anyway, so back to the main line game. Sorry, let's go back to where we've got up to. I played here after f3, bishop h2, king h2, queen h4 check, king g1, and knight g3. Now, I've been here before. I've been in this sort of position before. And here comes the drop back of the queen to d1. So I play f4, stationing my f pawn on f4. So it fastens the knight down on g3, which some players might play just queen h1 and knight takes rook. But that didn't appeal to me. It might be okay. But this also opens up this diagonal for the bishop sort of thing. So this bishop can look over to the king side of white as well, which is not usual, is it, in a French defense? So anyway, here's knight b3. Now I actually think my opponent played quite well. Here I played bishop f5, and guess what I missed? I missed something here. I just realised, what did I miss after bishop f5? I missed checkmate, because after bishop f5, why didn't I just play Queen H1 check, King F2, and Queen F1, game over. So I missed that. So that's what chess is all about. I got a wee bit excited here. I went Rook F5, which is now threatening Queen H1 check. And here comes Knight D3 and Knight D7, completing my development, and Rook E1. So my chances have gone for checkmate now. So I'm not going to give up. Rook A F8, and we have Knight B C5. This is just offering to swap off one of the knights, or a pair of knights, which I'm not really too keen on. So I'll go Knight F6. I evade swap. And here comes Knight E6. So what's the sort of move you'd like to play here, or what do you think the move is that I played? Do you think that I just moved my rook? Do you think I can move that rook? Do you think I move the rook away, like to E8 or something, or what do you think I did? So here I played Knight G4 here. Now I'm threatening checkmate in two places, but as I've already mentioned, I've just noticed that after Bishop F5 back here, that I have Queen H1 and Queen F1 checkmate. So here's Knight G4. Now this reminds me of a junior from Auckland area, or the northern part of Auckland of New Zealand. The northern part of New Zealand. This reminds me of his play. I saw him playing a lightning game where he just started throwing everything at his opponent's king, and it was like he was looking for anything else that can be thrown in to try and get his strong opponent in lightning chess, and just a fun game of chess. And it certainly looked very much fun to my way of looking at it, and so that's what happened. Anyway, so Knight G4 F G4. Now what's your move now? And I'm not saying that it's the best move, because it might not be. Okay, here I played F3. This is very exciting for me. I think this is very exciting. So here comes Bishop F4. Now some people would play here Rook F4 and or F2 and Rook F4 and F2 and Knight E4, and hope for checkmate, because that's what I was hoping for. So here's F3, and my opponent went Bishop F4, and I went Queen H1, King F2, Queen G2. And I thought this was all over. I just thought that this position was already finished. Soon, King E3, and here comes Rook E8 now, Bishop G3 now. I missed my opportunity, I think, but I'm not entirely sure. But here I think I should just play here. Queen G3, okay, so Queen G3, G F5, maybe F2 check. But who knows? It's just a bit crazy. Sort of thing. So that might not even turn out very well for black. Not that the position's very good. So here after Bishop G3, I went Rook E6, bishop e5, rook f e5. So I've dropped the complete ball here. D e5. Now I probably can play, but I can't really. F2. I can possibly play F2, I'm not sure. So, but anyway, the rest of the game is the following. So I think my opponent actually kind of like let me off at the end. My opponent's got 17.4 and I've got 10.5 seconds left. And here I was hoping for King C1 or B1 as Rook E1 as I'm back in the game again. But that's not how it came. This is not how the game continued. So my opponent's got 5 seconds. I've got 5.2, 4.6, 4, C5, King E6. I'm completely lost. Completely lost. Let's look. Why not rook G1? So maybe my opponent just did this to go. Now here, of course, the pawn's just going to run and the king can oppose my king. So the white king can just oppose my king. But here he doesn't. Well, he can now. Just king D6 and this is a clear win. Even if I get here, I can't stop this pawn, you see. But that's not what my opponent played. My opponent played C5. It's almost like my opponent just said, well, that was a really good game. Guess what? And that was a draw. So the last game, so it's pretty amazing. I think my opponent did let me off on purpose. I think my opponent did that on purpose. I don't think that's something he's going to just do for nothing. So here I am white and this is the last game for today. So I hope you have a good day. I hope you enjoyed these games. So here is the last game for you, which I have been playing the closed Sicilian setup for white here a bit, especially in this type of format. And here I have a finger drop of F3. And so I play F4 and my opponent, it's almost like my opponent knows what's happened there. So white's building up on the king side, black's building up on the queen side. Anything can happen. So after knight c2, I wasn't at all concerned about having a knight on c2 for black. As I just thought, well, this is going to go to a7, this rook. I was actually going to move it to b1, but it went to a7 instead because now it's a wee bit tangy because there's things like after bishop b7 we have a simple tactic, and you can see it, of course, I hope. A simple tactic of taking the bishop, and now the bishop on g2 is realizing that it's attacking this rook on b7, and also white threatens f6, forking a bishop or a knight. f6, and here's bishop h8, so that's quite okay for me. I quite like it. So after f e7, but of course I've gone backwards. That is really smart. Now, the move that I played might be good, it might not be. I'm not completely sure, as per usual. But what would you play here? Given you know who is white here, what move would you play here? And so here it comes. I played f5. These moves, playing f5, can actually be quite a good move, because even though it's just clearly giving up a pawn to gf5, but these moves can be very good in speed chess. So we got knight f4, which maybe the best move for black here will be queen g5. I'm not sure, but it looks a wee bit kind of scary, but I think it might be okay. So I think that black can get away with queen g5, so I think black can play queen g5 here. And then of course this knight on g3 is attacked. But I think that, hold on, actually I've seen something, so what can I do? If queen g5, so it's a wee tactic, might work, it might not. The small wee tactic is maybe I could play knight e6, queen g, did I think about that before? Queen g3, bishop f4, and maybe drop the queen back to here to attack this knight, which is going to be all of a sudden good again for black, I think. So I can't do bishop d5, David. I want to play bishop d5. Bit naughty, isn't it? So anyway, we have gf5, see, and then we have knight f4, rook h7, g6, rook h4, queen e2, rook e8, and g7. This is a bit naughty because I'm sort of plucking at straws really, but the thing is that it's quite difficult, this position, to play fast for either player. Bishop g7, an error I think in judgment, maybe queen g7, or maybe even king g7. Maybe king g7. What can happen after that? Oh, what would you do after king g7? What's the move you would play after king g7? What's a move that you'd like to play? Actually, there's a few ideas here. That's the beauty of it, but some aren't very good. So one idea is to play queen to e5, okay? So that if queen f6, then that's a really bad mistake, because knight g or knight f h5, rook h5, knight h5 check, both checks of course, and here the queen is going to be captured by the knight next move. But there's something else here. So the reason why queen e5 doesn't work is probably because of king to f7, I think. But it's quite an interesting position, because what can you do? I can't do it, David. I'd like to be able to play this knight to e6, but I can't because the bishop's attacking the queen. So that's one after idea, king g7. So after king g7, the move that I think is quite fun, whether it's any good or not, is knight takes d5. And this just annoys the queen, really, frankly. And also, of course, we cannot take here as knight takes f5. And white captures with check the queen if the king moves to here or here or here. And here and here. So king here is the only way to capture, to not be captured next move. Whereas if here, then we have knight e7 check with the rook, and so that will not really do, will it? So that's quite interesting, but I don't think I'd play that necessarily. So, but that's the beauty with these two knights on g3 and f4, is they have some reasonable power to them. So here's bishop g7, and here I played knight g6, but of course I'm trying to get some material back all of a sudden. And here's queen f6, knight h4, queen h4. Now everyone can see my next move, which is knight f5 and rook f8. Then this is sad. This is a complete loss, this move. Here black should play either queen back. I thought black had played queen back, or gf5. Then we have queen e8, king h7. I'm just doing this off the cuff. And we have rook here, f5. And this is with the strong threat of rook h5 check, the skewer of the queen and king. I think it's skewer. So anyway, we have just after rook f8, knight h4, rook f1, bishop f1. And so I will leave this session here, and thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope your chess gets better and better as time goes on. Primarily try to enjoy the game of chess. It's very important. It's just a game. Okay, thank you.